in the dry conditions, where he says the stopping and starting does mean that there is extra pressure on his hand. So we have heard the signal that the bikes are getting ready now, and we are about to see race one of the Stock 1000 Championship. 7 points in it between Hayden Gillim and Jason Uribe. Back to you, Jamie and Roger.
Thank you, Joe. It's always great to hear from the riders out there on the grid right before they put those helmet on. And Roger, different tactics here. In the case, let's start off with Hayden Gillim. He's our championship points leader. He is the defending champion. He's the most recent race winner from here at New Jersey back in 2022. All he wants to do is focus on himself, get that good start.
The big thing for him is just not make a mistake. You know, that's kind of been his only problem this year is, you know, the crashes and a couple mistakes. So if he can just get a good start and get in the flow and just kind of maybe pull away from the rest of the pack and not try to get into that battle. And if he is in a battle, just try not to put yourself in bad spots.
In the case of Jason Uribe, though, who's 7 points back in the championship, he needs to finish ahead of Hayden today in order to still be alive in anything. For Jason, he said it that he needs to be aggressive.
Has to be aggressive. His only thing is he needs to go out there and beat Hayden. He has to beat Hayden. Also, he wants to keep the pressure on Hayden and see, you know, that's what you don't want him to get comfortable. You want to try to keep that pressure and maybe pressure him into a mistake.
Talk about the weather. We heard it there. This is the first dry session for Stock 1000. It's been very mixed conditions through both qualifying sessions for all of the categories. But for these riders, they've already done the one sighting lap. Now they're going to go out for a warm-up lap. What do they focus on?
They're just trying to see what the bike setup is. How's the grip? This is going to be their first time in a totally dry track. So they just want to get out there and see where the grip is and see how their bike's handling.
Great to have all of the fans out here at New Jersey Motorsports Park. Looks like there potentially was an issue for Danilo Lewis. He is now on that bike starting from the front row. Number 2 qualifying position.
You know, also with the rain that we've had this weekend, when you look at the grid, you see some names on the front row and toward the front that these other guys at the front haven't raced with all year. Danilo Lewis, Jason Waters, you know, Isaiah Davis, Richard Kerr, top 2 rows.
The rain always being the great equalizer, but the one thing that has stayed the same is the fact that Hayden Gillim, carrying the number 1 plate, continues to lead this field.
The Stock 1000 coverage is brought to you by Dunlop, the official tire of the Moto America Championship Series.
As the riders complete this warm-up lap, Roger, freshly paved here at New Jersey Motorsports Park, over 2.25 miles of fresh asphalt. Take us around a lap of New Jersey Motorsports Park.
One of the smallest tracks we go to, not a lot of passing zones. That one of the best one is right here down into turn 1, up over 2, 3, that chicane down into 4, turn 5. That is the next best passing zone. Through 6 into 7, just such a long right-hander, really stresses the tire. Into 10, from there it's important to get a good run through 11, 11A, through the last corner, turn 12, onto the front straightaway.
That front straightaway has been widened out. There's now a better entry going into turn 1. Let's take a look at how they'll line up to get there. Our pole sitter, Hayden Gillim, joined on that front row by Danilo Lewis and Jason Waters.
And Ashton Yates, Isaiah Davis, and Richard Kerr.
Going to row number 3, it's Benjamin Smith, Jason Uribe, and Augustin Sierra.
Then Nolan Lampkin, Emmanuel Aguilar, and Travis Wyman.
Go to row number 5, JC Camacho, Alex Arango, and Anthony Norton.
And Dion Campbell, Bryce Prince, and Bobby Davies.
Row number 7, Manuel Suguera, Steven Shakespeare, and Erwin Ramirez. 21 riders set to take the grid here in Stock 1000. Mentioned the first dry session here for Stock 1000. It's been mixed conditions all weekend with a steady mist, but that is now cleared out from the Millville, New Jersey area. It's now up to 76 degrees. Humidity also starting to come down. Hard to believe. Still up at 80% humidity. Very light winds here in the area. This is going to be a great race for Stock 1000. Looks like everybody has made their way back to the grid. You hear there through the race control window that all the bikes have made their way back to the front grid. It is all in the hands of the starter. Red flag still being held at the front, waiting for all clear from the back. You see the lights in the top left-hand corner of your screen. Those lights will go on when they go out. Revs are up. It is time to race. Race number 1, Stock 1000 at New Jersey Motorsports Park. Hayden Gillum wanted the good start, and it looks like he got it.
Great start, but Danilo Lewis also with the great start is going to be able to lead them through turn 1. Jason Waters also taking advantage of that good qualifying, but look at Hayden. You can see he's already trying to make a move early on.
Danilo Lewis with a really, really good start. Ashton Yates as well, up into 3rd.
You can see Ashton, he's looking racy early, trying to find a way around Hayden. Hayden gets a good run out of 3. Makes the move into turn 4, and I think you'll see Ashton maybe try and go to the inside down into 5.
Hayden Gillum already able to get back around. Danilo Lewis, Ashton Yates, Benjamin Smith there in the number 78. Those riders have seen the dry track this weekend. They're taking part also in the Superbike Cup, so they've been out there in some mixed conditions. If you're watching with us here on YouTube, this stream will continue. Moto America Live Plus is back up and running. Thank you for your patience throughout the day. This is bonus all-day coverage here from New Jersey Motorsports Park. Hayden Gillum is now starting to pull just a little bit of a gap.
Yeah, it looks like he's just putting in some good laps, just like he has. He wanted a good start, getting a lead. The guy he has to worry about, Jason Uribe, he's on the back of this group as well, so there's still, he's not clear just yet.
Jason Uribe said he needed to be aggressive. This is a 14-lap race. He doesn't have a ton of time to work with, but you can see him not waiting to take those chances.
Ashton also makes a move, and so does Benjamin Smith. Both of those two guys got by Danilo Lewis down into turn 1.
For Hayden Gillum, just focusing on his own race, let everything else unfold behind him. He's been able to win 5 times this season. He's been on the podium 6 times through the first 8 races. Just really, really impressive. But Ashton Yates, over the course of the last couple of months, being able to come back and get more and more laps on this bike, and he's been so impressive. Saw him shake his head a little bit, Roger. Take a look at this replay, just how hard he's pushing.
Yeah, and think about that. This part of the track is just really hard on a Superbike. Remember how he mentioned this part of the track where his hand is broke, where it's really difficult, and you can see the bike's trying to wheelie. It looks like Ashton Yates is off track in turn 8, and he's able to rejoin. Unfortunate mistake for Ashton. But you can see that was the part of the track where Hayden mentioned is really physical in that hand. See, there it is. It's wheeling through there. It looks like right before he shifts, the front wheel's coming up off the ground.
And you could see him having to catch it there, and with that broken hand and being able to ride through the rain and not having to push as hard, it's been a little bit easier to get up into this, but Hayden Gillum certainly dealing with it. Jason Uribe looking to get himself slotted up into 2nd, making that move around Danilo Lewis. Just a moment ago, we saw Ashton Yates off. Here's a replay of what happened.
Yeah, just on the back of the screen, looks like him and Benjamin Smith both ran off track. So I'm not sure if maybe one of them tried to make the pass on the inside, got in a little bit deep, forced him off, but now Benjamin Smith lost a couple spots, and now he's trying to work his way back through.
Yeah, Benjamin down in, he was in 5th place, starting to make up a little bit of ground. Ashton Yates, though, down in 9th place. So some work to be done here, but for Jason Uribe, he knows he needs to finish ahead of Hayden Gillum. He was able to get his first win in Stock 1000 earlier this season. That came back in the 2nd race at Brainerd. He was able to also win when we got to the Ridge in the 2nd race there as well. So his first 2 Stock 1000 wins is what's put him in this championship contention now, as well as 5 podium results. He's just been super consistent.
The consistency and for him just finishing and getting the points each weekend that's got him into the spot like he's doing this race. Didn't qualify that great, but finds himself into 2nd. And looking at his sector times, he's pushing really hard. He's a couple seconds behind Hayden, but he's trying to keep the pressure on where Hayden still feels it.
We saw in the opening races this season, Hayden Gillum came on just with something to prove. He won the first race by over 11 seconds, the 2nd race by over 10 seconds. It was a 7-second win for him at Brainerd. That gap is now closed. We don't have those same distances anymore, but for Jason Uribe, he knows that he can't let Hayden get too far ahead.
He just wants, when Hayden sees his pit board, not to say more than once they say +1, +2, where you can't relax and where you can't start to slow down. he wants him to have to keep pushing all the way till the end of this race.
Noah Lewis continuing in this battle for third. Benjamin Smith. Benjamin started the race seventh, if you remember, but he felt like he had pace. He has certainly shown that he was right. He was right with his assessment coming in today.
Jason's on a good lap watching these splits. He did the best first split of the whole race. Second split was his personal best, so he's got his head down, definitely trying to charge.
What about Richard Kerr? We haven't mentioned him, but starting on the front two rows, he qualified at sixth, and being able to be out there and really stay in the mix for him.
Yeah, just taking advantage of that good starting spot and being in the mix early on. Just so far, great first couple laps for him. And also Nolan Lampkin and Isaiah Davis, those guys are really all right there still.
Just to put in perspective what the dry conditions have done to the lap times, the pole position was earned with a 1:31.2 in the qualifying session by Hayden Gillim, but right now, fastest lap of the race is a 1:22.5. So these riders certainly going the quickest that they've been able to go all weekend long. Everybody coming to terms with it. We are now working lap number 5 of this 14-lap race.
See Isaiah Davis there. He was fastest in the wet this weekend. The wet, some really good qualifyings for him. Benjamin Smith also, after making that mistake running off track, he's doing a great job recovering those positions. Danilo Lewis also still in the top 3. We mentioned this is their first dry session. This is where the race is going to start getting tricky with tire wear. This long right-hander, who's going to have the best setup in the dry as this race goes on?
It's also a little bit of an unknown because we mentioned at the start of this race that this racetrack is freshly repaved and not having a dry session here this weekend. We'll see what kind of tire wear they have towards the end of this race. You see our race leader, Hayden Gillim, now with over 2.5-second lead over Jason Uribe. These are the championship points as they sit now. 25 points for the win, 20 for second. That widens the gap out to 12.
Yeah, last lap though, Jason, 0.3 quicker than Hayden, so he's trying to mount a charge here in the middle of this race.
Half of this race, Roger, now with everybody knowing what their line is and what they need to do, you can see the gap starting between these front two riders. Benjamin Smith there, 2.8 seconds back, but second half of the race, how is it different than the first?
Just the tire wear, the bike starts behaving different. You're starting to lose grip on corner exit, also grip on the back. I'm sure Hayden Gillim also, his hands probably starting to bother him a little bit, but you can see Jason, he's got his head down. And he's trying to close this 2 seconds.
He continued there. You mentioned it the last lap that Jason Uribe was 0.3 seconds faster. He just lowered that time down to a 22.0 for Jason Uribe, still consistently quicker now than Hayden Gillim. Problem is Hayden was able to get out early.
Yeah, that's the thing. Hayden has a little bit of, he's almost matching him. He's going to have to keep doing that 0.3 a lap if he's going to want to close this gap down.
See the pit board there for Jason Uribe. Telling him he's sitting in P2.
0.4 that lap. And as a rider where Jason's at, you can see that. You can see you're closing the gap on that rider in front of you, and you kind of get that extra little, jolt of energy, and that 1-2 to go get it. You can see it right in front of you.
You can see how Jason's been able to close down that lead there on the graphic as well, and it's just the lap after lap consistency. Jason knows he's closing it. How aware is Hayden Gillim of it?
Hayden knows. He's got a pit board. He can see, that Jason's coming, and every single lap, Jason, like now, he just did another red first sector. So Hayden's going to see his pit board, and you can see it in the shot.
Go back to third place. Benjamin Smith here aboard the number 78, sitting fourth in the championship standings. He's had 4 podiums so far this season. Still looking for a win, but it's been a season of progression for Benjamin Smith as he's learning this bigger bike.
Yeah, just a couple podiums this year too, and as you said, just learning the bigger bike, and he's did a great job.
रिनको ब्राइट लक टेक्नोलोजीले तपाईको लुगालाई दिन्छ नयाँ जस्तै चमक नयाँ रिन अब ब्राइट लक टेक्नोलोजीको साथ
Go back to third place. Benjamin Smith here aboard the number 78, sitting fourth in the championship standings. He's had 4 podiums so far this season. Still looking for a win, but it's been a season of progression for Benjamin Smith as he's learning this bigger bike.
Yeah, just a couple podiums this year too, and as you said, just learning the bigger bike, and he's did a great job. And I think also doing the superbike races as well has really helped him get out with a couple of those good guys. As we see Hayden Gill still out here in the lead here, trying to stretch it out.
Jason Uribe resetting his best lap there on that last lap again, now down to a 21.8 for Jason Uribe. That last lap, Roger, Hayden Gillum was a 22.4.
So Jason keeps this pace up, he will be there by the end of this race. And the thing is, you can see how hard Jason is pushing. He is letting it all hanging out. He knows it's all on the line. He has to win this race and try to get in front of Hayden.
Yeah, because the problem is, again, 25 points for a win. If Hayden's able to do that, that gap that he has in terms of championship points going in tomorrow, it grows into 12. And at that point, Jason has to wish for something to happen to Hayden, and nobody wants to win a title that way. See the gap here between Hayden Gill and Jason Uribe. Benjamin Smith, you didn't even see in the picture. These two riding towards a title hope. They're just in a league of their own.
And that's the thing, both of them are fighting for this championship, so they're just kind of elevating each other, knowing that they have to beat the other one. And every time one gets a little bit quicker, the other one steps up. It looks like Hayden has did a good job this lap, of at least keeping the gap the same, or maybe even stretching it out. Hayden did a red third sector, so he definitely just did his best lap at the 22.1. But Jason Uribe still a 10th quicker. But for Hayden, that's okay. He just can't get up those 3 or 4 tenths a lap.
Ashton Yates, who was up there towards the front of the field early on, had that off. He was all the way back down into 9th. He's starting to work his way back through up into 7th right now. He just had his best lap on that last lap as well.
See, Jason, look at that rear tire. Look at the way that thing is stepping out through there. That is wide open. Headed through that little kink from turn 10 all the way to the back straight. We talked about how fast that section is, getting that run.
Saw his team react to it. Also, for Jason Uribe, getting that win, his first win in Stock 1000 back at Brainerd. Roger, of course it was a turning point in the championship. What kind of turning point do you think it was for Jason?
It's been huge. I think the whole season back in Moto America and just getting podiums, and then your target changes. You want to start going for wins. He started fighting for those wins and was there every week. And then all of a sudden the opportunity that was there, he was able to take it. We talked about Stock 1000 this year. Jason wasn't really one of those guys we talked about for the championship, but he came here this year and he's bringing the fight.
The entire Orange Cat team has really put a lot of effort into getting Jason comfortable and up to speed, and over the course of the season, we've seen them working together so well. And that gap just closing down to just over a second now. You can see how close Jason is. 5 laps still to go, and he's continuing to be quicker than Hayden Gillum.
He was way quicker in that first sector, a half a second quicker, so you can see he's definitely starting to close it down. It's well under a second now, so Jason just has to keep going. As we see, looks like Steven Shakespeare had a crash. He's up and okay. Corner worker's doing a great job trying to help him get off the track, or at least back into the race.
As you watch these two up front, mentioned Ashton Yates having that off earlier, now working his way back up into 7th. This is another look at it.
Yeah, I think maybe Benjamin might have tried to make a pass and got in there a little bit deep. You can't really tell from the end of it, but both those two guys going off. Makes me think, yeah, you see Benjamin Smith there tried to make a pass down into there and got in a little bit deep and forced them both off track.
Both of them having to work their way back up. Benjamin Smith able to get there quickest up into third place right now. It's Hayden Gillum continuing to lead, but now it is down to under a second between himself and Jason Uribe. How hard does Hayden Gillum push now as we get close to 3 laps to go?
I think he's got to keep pushing. He can't just get second, especially if Jason wins tomorrow. Watching the sectors, this first part of the track is where Jason is really good. You can see him closing the gap all the way through here, all the way up through 4, down into 5. The second sector after here is kind of where they're pretty even. They're not losing a lot. And then once we get into the third sector, that's where Hayden's a little bit stronger and kind of pulls that gap back out. See Hayden's wife there stressing this out.
The kids here this weekend as well, and Hayden has said it a couple of times this season that being able to have his family out here at the racetrack with them each weekend, it really does relax him and it allows him not to focus on the championship point scenarios, and it's really made a difference in the way he's able to fight for titles.
Yeah, and just be able to focus more. You know, he's a family man now, a dad and a husband, and you can tell he's really, you know, grown up in a short amount of time, and it's starting to show in his racing as well.
Jason Uribe, though, right there now. He has closed that gap. Oh, a huge save for Hayden Gillum, but it's going to be enough for Jason Uribe to get around him.
But that can separate your front brake pads. Luckily for Hayden, that wasn't the case. Now the roles have reversed. Now it's Hayden going to have to follow Jason. Looks like Hayden we talked about a little bit of water on the track in between the asphalt. You see Hayden here when he's just going to use all the track. And right when he gets on that curve, see the water.
See the water spray off and just enough to disrupt the bike. It's a huge save for Hayden.
Huge save. Yeah, you can just see, watch the spray off the rear tire from the water. And just luckily he's able to save it, and luckily for Jason, he did not get into the back of Hayden.
What effect do you think that had on his hand?
Oh, that hurt. You just think about the head shake like that, and you know, you're trying to get your heart rate back down in a short amount of time with only 3 laps to go.
All right, Jason Uribe now in control of this race, coming from the 3rd row and 8th qualifying position, now in front of Hayden Gillum. Look what it does to the championship points. That first place getting 25, second place getting 20. It closes it down to 2 points going into tomorrow if they're able to finish this way.
And it gives Jason a much better shot tomorrow. All he has to do is go into that race. Whoever wins would be the champion if it ends up like this. But you can see Hayden, he's kind of regrouped. He's regrouped now. He lost a little bit. Now he's going to get a little opportunity to follow Jason, maybe see where he's quicker and be able to make a move as this race winds down.
2 laps to go in this 14-lap race, and for the first time in the last several laps, Hayden Gillum was quicker that time around than Jason Uribe as he's now sitting, watching and waiting for his opportunity.
And Hayden, through that first sector, the one that he has been struggling in this whole race, was the fastest one of the whole race. And you see Jason, that's great racing right there by Jason, blocking that inside line down into turn 5, because that is one of the best passing zones.
Watch these 2 riders, and there's just nothing in between them, Roger.
And this place is tough to pass. You can see Hayden is kind of looking outside, inside their speed, and they're coming up into lappers as well. So we'll see how that plays out.
You can see on the screen we do have a couple of riders that have retired. Steven Shakespeare on that number 72 is out of this one. Alex Arango also down on pit lane right now, though not officially retired. And now we get into traffic. White flag is being shown. Our leaders are catching the tail end of this field. Who plays it better?
Hayden's in a tough spot. You want to try to make a move, but there's not a lot of places. As you go through this chicane, it's difficult to make a pass through 3A, B, and C. We've seen him make moves early on in the race out of turn 3. Gets a good run, maybe up out of this rise. This is a tough pass to make it. See Jason move over to the right. The next best passing place inside turn 5. Jason blocks it perfectly down there on the inside.
for Hayden Gillum. He did everything he could do at the start of this race to control it. Then that big moment would allow Jason Uribe to get by. But once Jason got by, he continued to put his head down. His only goal was to finish ahead of Hayden Gillum. Now on this final lap, he's done everything he can do to execute.
Hayden might try to dive on the inside in this next corner, but he's just not there. His only option now is to try to get a good run through this last sector out of turn 10. Inside last corner.
Hayden Gillum gets around. Can he hold on to it? Coming to the line for Hayden Gillum.
Got
taking
it.
the race win. Jason Uribe finishing second, 200ths of a second between the two of them. Benjamin Smith rounding out the podium. This is a battle coming to the line. Danilo Lewis, Nolan Lankin. Danilo Lewis able to finish in fourth. Nolan there in fifth. These two riders can't believe it.
Yeah, and you think about what the title, means to Hayden. Able to take that chance, knowing, see, he gets a good run out of turn 10. He just kind of lets that momentum keep going to the right. Jason moves over to the left a little bit. Don't expect a lot of passes in this last corner. But look at Hayden, the commitment. This is where he had that big moment in the race. You see the water spraying up. He lifted the bike up a little bit more, able to get a good run.
A phenomenal photo finish for Hayden Gillum. You look at his team celebrating right there at the end of this race. Hayden Gillum proving he was not willing to give up. It's going to come down to tomorrow, but he'll have a 12-point spread going in to the final Stock 1000 race of the season.
What about Hayden, though? Just full commitment out of that last corner after that moment he had. Jason Uribe also, what a great ride that he put in. Coming from a little bit further down the grid after the tricky conditions this weekend, really stepped up to the plate and really brought the fight to Hayden today. And, man, just came up just a little bit short.
Yeah, Jason Uribe certainly made Hayden win this one. He made him earn this win today. Hayden Gillum now gets to ride around and celebrate. You can see race winner here today, Jason Uribe in second, and then Benjamin Smith able to get back on the podium for the 5th time this season.
Moto America Stock 1000 coverage is brought to you by Dunlop, the official tire of the Moto America Championship Series.
Continuing with you here live at New Jersey Motorsports Park as Hayden Gillum now making his way over to the podium to meet with his team, meet up with his family, get to celebrate that hard-earned battle here today. And for Jason Uribe, you see him there. He did everything he could. It was just that close.
It's just that close. There's nothing else he could have did. He did everything he could.
Take a look at the full results. Mentioned there were a couple of retirements there during that race. Benjamin Smith there in third, but Danilo Lewis and Nolan Lampkin, that was another great battle.
Great battle for the top 5. Then Richard Curry, Bryce Prince, Ashton Yates was able to cover 8th, Diop Campbell, and JC Camacho.
Take a look at the championship points. We have one race remaining in this 5-round, 10-race Stock 1000 championship. This is the way we go into tomorrow. Our championship point leader continues to be our defending champion, Hayden Gillum, now with a 12-point lead over Jason Uribe sitting in second.
Yeah, that last lap there was a 10-point swing. He would have went in 2 and now 12, and he gets to relax a little bit tomorrow. He doesn't have to take a chance to win if we do have iffy weather.
This is the big story there. Who's going to finish third? We're going into the race tomorrow tied for third between Ashton Yates and Benjamin Smith, able to make up a lot of points today with that podium.
Yeah, and also what happened in that race, I think Ashton's going to come back tomorrow and feel like he owes him one.
The incident was between those two, so we'll see how that unfolds tomorrow as well. What's your biggest takeaway from this one?
Just, Hayden did great, and he won the race. He's able to step up and lay it all on the line is the big taking there, and just the way he's able to do it. But also, it's hard to take away from what Jason did, the way he's come from so far back from the grid and make the move. He did absolutely everything he can. Hayden just played it just a little bit better.
All the riders have their bikes. They're now parked. Let's go ahead and sit it down to Joe Ankier to hear from these riders.
Yes, well, I am at the podiums with Hayden Gillum. Hayden, exceptional race, an important win for you out there. And what a race between you and Jason. Tell me how you managed that final overtake on the last turn.
I have no idea. It was a little, the bridge had a little wet spot under it, and I was a little nervous going that low, and yeah, somehow, made it stick. And unfortunately made myself have to work a little harder with the little almost get off, but yeah, that hurt the hand a little bit, but it's good. It's happy. The team's happy. It's incredible to be back up on the top with Steel Commander and Honda and Comstock Energy. Like, I don't know. That was a tough race. Jason was riding really good.
And 12 points now. You extend your lead by. You mentioned that topple with 3 laps to go. With that championship at stake, what was going through your mind?
I was just hoping I didn't put it down. I was just trying to save it, and yeah, it took me a little bit to get recovered a few corners, and then I knew I had to just kind of get right back to it. So it's yeah, this is really good. Now the sun's out, everybody can be happy.
Now you got that dry racing in the sunshine as well, but you managed to do it to get the win. Hayden Gillum, everyone. Let's walk over to our second place on the podium, Jason Uribe. Is it smiles? Oh, it's smiles from Jason. Oh, what a race from you. What a performance. To go from 8th on the grid to 2nd, you almost had it there. How proud are you of your efforts?
Oh man, I mean, I gotta put it out to the whole Orange Cat team. Everybody killed it this weekend. It's been pretty inconsistent weather, so trying to come out here and just kind of throw down a dry lap time was a bit of a challenge, but at the end of the day, I knew it was gonna be rough coming from 8th, but I just tried my best to be aggressive, be smooth, not make mistakes, and I won't lie, towards the end of the race, I knew that he was gonna be there, and I was just thinking in that last corner, man, there's no way he's gonna try. There's no way. And then as soon as I saw a rear tire in my face, I was like, he tried. But at the end of the day, happy to finish the race. A little bit further behind the points, but anything's possible tomorrow.
What a learning experience, though, and what a race from you. The cheers from your team say it all. Let's take it over to your 3rd place on the podium. Ben Smith now up in 3rd and tied for 3rd in the championship standings. What a performance from you coming through. What does it mean to you to now be tied for 3rd?
Yeah, I knew that was going to be an important race. Like I said on the grid, we had a little bit of weird qualifying with those mixed conditions, but started on the 3rd row. I knew I had some pace in the drive, so just tried to get off to a good start, and made a couple of moves in the beginning, and honestly, I got to apologize to Ashton. I didn't mean for that move to be that close on that turn, but just tried to keep my head down and fight back through the pack, and we got myself into 3rd and was just kind of chipping away at the leaders a bit. Team gave me a phenomenal bike. I can't thank my whole Flow for Law Racing team enough. Once again, they work the butts off every weekend, so I'm so happy to be able to reward them with this podium.
Shipping away a podium today and in the running for a podium overall. Congratulations, everyone. Back to you, Jamie and Roger.
We still have one more Stock 1000 race to go for this championship season. Roger, here are the highlights from today.
Yeah, you see Hayden Gillum wanted to get a really good start. He got the launch, but Danilo Lewis was able to lead him out of turn 1. See Hayden there, Ashton Yates, also Benjamin Smith. All these guys aggressive early. Hayden's able to get by Danilo Lewis. You see a little get-together between Ashton Yates and Benjamin Smith there. Early on in the race, Ashton coming up the losing end deal of that. Jason Uribe works his way up from 8th down into 2nd into turn 1. A little about 2.5 seconds back to Hayden. He put his head down. You see Benjamin Smith ran off track. He had to come back through the pack. But watch this moment by Hayden Gillum. Right there, just big slide, almost high side, onto the front straightaway. And you see Jason was able to make the move back. Jason did a great job closing down that gap, and then the roles were reversed. And Hayden, last lap, last corner, last opportunity to get the win. He was able to make it happen.
Who was pushing harder? Coming down, it all went to Hayden Gillum. Now seeing a message on the timing screen that the incident that we saw between bike 78, Benjamin Smith, and 27 of Ashton Yates is under review. So we'll have to follow up on that later on. Take a live look at the podium and the riders getting to celebrate the efforts from this 14-lap race number 1. You hear the fans. It's an open celebration area for all of the fans. Just general admission tickets get you over there to celebrate. If you're here at New Jersey Motorsports Park, make sure you come over and watch as well. You see Hayden waiting for his turn to go up and collect that first place trophy. You said it, Roger. It's all about family.
Yeah. These are going to be those moments and cherish and look back, those pictures, and it's going to be a really cool memory.
Even with the issues with the hands, he's not letting go of either one of those. Great race. Congratulations to the top three. Super Sport will be the next race up. We're going to take a quick break. We'll be back right after this.
Full throttle 8K action with Insta360 X4. Gear up and capture every angle. Find your best shots after filming. Smoother, sharper action. Pair your headset for clearer audio. And let it roll as you ride. Removable lens guards for easier protection round the clock. The ultimate action camera for motorcyclists.
We fight for the rights of riders every day. We give back millions to support the motorcycle community because we are riders, and motorcycle law is all we do. If you're injured in a motorcycle accident, don't fight the insurance companies with just any lawyer. Call 1-800-4BIKERS. We ride, we care, we win. If you go down, call Russ Brown. Motorcycle attorneys.
Suzuki motorcycle advancing highs. High revving Hayabusa really starts to pour on the coals. Quickest run in the history of pro stock motorcycles.
We've been there since the very beginning.
The rookie on a rookie machine on its maiden voyage, coming out of NASCAR.
Organizing the industry and building champions. Years of defending your rights to ride into the future.
Passion is the foundation of performance. At Rockford Fosgate, each product that we build is built to exceed performance expectations. Good will never be good enough. We set out to raise the bar and deliver an experience never heard or felt before. We are always in pursuit to perfect performance. We relish in the competition and competitiveness. Winning is the only option, and outperforming performance is our measure of success.
Real-world rideability meets racetrack-level performance. With a bike that can perform anywhere, you're going to want to ride it everywhere. The bar has officially been reset. The Suzuki GSX 8R, the new standard of sport.
VP Racing Fuels. No matter what motorcycle you race or ride, amateur or pro, we have a fuel to make more power. Keep your bike running cool with VP Stay Frosty Coolin', available in 2 formulas. Race ready, designed to be glycol-free and track approved, and high performance with freeze protection for street applications. Visit vpracingfuels.com to learn more.
Neck and neck they go between Beaubier and Herron.
Get ready to eat like a king with Mission Foods. Load up those saddlebags for Mission King of the Baggers Racing and feed your need for flavor. Fully loaded tacos, fast wraps, piled high nachos. Whatever you crave, Mission will help you be race ready with easy-to-make recipes that will take your race day to the finish line. Keep your racing delicious and enjoy all the mouth-watering action. Brought to you by Mission Foods. Too fast, too tasty.
It just kind of surpassed all my expectations as far as handling and actually rideability. It's really impressive.
This bike handles in the mountains like no other bike I've ever ridden.
Sport bike, American touring bike. It's a great hybrid of the two.
It sits down in the road when you hit that throttle and you just take off for the sunset. It drops into that flow and you're gone.
Now, the same technology that can help racers survive crashes like these can protect everyday riders like you. Airbags. Airbags save injuries. And airbags save worry. That's why 96% of people say they want their loved ones who ride to wear an airbag. But there's one thing an airbag can't save. You, if you never put one on. Learn more at revzilla.com/airbags.
I think the best way to experience nature is on a Harley Davidson. Most people ride to escape. I ride to connect, to discover and find. I ride towards something, always, never away. Full throttle, no looking back. That's what I've been riding towards every day.
Bud, ready for your first race?
So there's some serious players that are going to be coming up here. Lots of great riders. A race starts here. And here we go. Revs are up. Lights are on. We're ready. Who hits the line?
My name is Nolan Lampkin. Last year I won the Superbike Cup Championship and finished in 5th place out of 64 riders in Stock 1000. This year we raced with the sport of RNG crash protection, and we used their products for a number of years and really love them. This past weekend we were racing in Road America, and there's an incident in particular that kind of points out to me where we use a lot of different things. Crash guards, brake lever guard, radiator screens. Having that kind of support's crucial for us.
Yeah, if you want to keep your bike safe, street bikes, track bikes, anything, yeah, definitely use RNG crash protections. It's a lot of confidence when you know that your bike is going to be protected, to know that you can pick your bike back up and keep racing. It's a huge boost, and we'd love to be a part of the family.
For us, we're working on the bike, we're doing a lot of different things, but also for people who are just doing track days, because we're able to pick the thing up when we're doing 130, somebody else, if they're doing a track day in there, novice or intermediate or advanced, knowing we've got that support for something, for me, I think is kind of really crucial.
This guest has been around a long time. He's rode a lot of motorcycles, a lot of different manufacturers. Bobby Fong, also known as Bagger Bob.
Bagger Bob. Thanks for having me, boys.
Whenever I'm driving later at night, not too late, Mom, you know, I always listen to podcasts, especially, you know, Pipe Dreams is one I've been on, but with Corey Alexander and James Tripoli, it's definitely something that keeps me awake and keeps me focused and aware.
I wasn't going to get paid what I would have wanted to get paid for 22. So basically, I didn't have a superbike ride, basically. It was going to be a free superbike ride, and I was like, I can't do that.
Eventually, you have to start making money. Shout out to Bobby, because that was a pretty cool podcast. I like when you're able to kind of see racers' personalities, because I don't know Bobby personally, but I think this is a cool look.
An all-new Pressure to Rise, coming to YouTube Thursday, October 3rd.
Welcome back to New Jersey Motorsports Park, where the clouds are starting to part for the first time on this race weekend. There might be some sunshine up overhead for all of these tremendous fans that have made their way out here for this championship weekend here at New Jersey Motorsports Park. We'll take a look at the schedule. We just had the first race of the weekend. That was Stock 1000. Next up will be race number 1 for Super Sport at the top of the hour, followed by Steel Commander Superbike at 3 o'clock. Mission King of the Baggers at 4, and then the final race of the day will be Junior Cup at 5. And tomorrow we'll do it all over again for the second race for each of the 5 categories that is here as we wrap things up. Just mention the fact that Stock 1000, Roger, just completed. That was a thrilling race, came all the way down to 0.02 of a second at the line, with Hayden Gilman taking the win.
Yeah, it was just great to see the two guys fighting for their title, fighting it out. You can see what it meant to both of those guys. They were leaving it all out on the track. I think as fans and watching, and you know, for us, just watching that's what you want to see. You want to see the two guys go out there, the two best guys in the class, fight it out all the way till the end. Hayden got him a little bit of a cushion today, but it's racing. 12 points. You know, he has to still go tomorrow and finish the job.
12 points separating the two of them. It is a 10-race championship, 9 races now completed. And for Hayden Gillen being able to have 6 victories on the season, that's just tremendous.
It's been just the year he's put together, and, you know, even the races he's crashed, the way he's able to bounce back. And I think that's been the big thing, is kind of bouncing back from those mistakes and not making those mistakes and, you know, letting them run the year or get down.
If you're watching with us here on YouTube, again, this is a bonus coverage. All-day coverage continues on Moto America Live Plus. It is back up and running after the technical issues that we had earlier today. Thank you for your patience, all of the subscribers out there. And if you are one of those subscribers, you can watch the first 3 episodes of the new season of Pressure to Rise. All 3 of those episodes are up now. Those will continue to debut as we get closer to the Daytona 200 next season. Just tremendous behind-the-scenes video content for all of the spectators. Roger, Stock 1000 complete. Next race up, you see Matthew Skoltz here on pit lane getting ready for the Super Sport first race of this championship weekend. He is our championship points leader going in. He's got a pretty hefty margin over PJ Jacobsen. What has to be the focus for him today?
I think today just trying to wrap it up. Whatever place he needs to be to try to wrap it up and not go in and have this worry and this stress going into tomorrow. You know, get out there. He's already did the first thing. Get really good qualifying. Put it on pole. Get out there and just be sure to wrap it up today, where you don't have to worry about going into tomorrow and worrying about a problem or something that could happen.
It's a 39-point gap between Matthew Skoltz and PJ Jacobsen. Both of them have had stellar seasons. Matthew Skoltz making this transition over into Super Sport. PJ Jacobsen doing the same thing. But for Skoltz, he's been able to win 8 times this year. PJ Jacobsen has 6 wins on the board. We've only had 2 other riders that have won this season in Supersport. It was Tyler Scott and Jake Lewis.
Yeah, these 2 guys have just really dominated all year long, and just swapping wins, and they put on a show all the races. A lot of them went down to the last lap, and now this is where we're at. Really, the big story this season has just been a couple DNFs, and that's where the 39 points come from.
For Matthew Skoltz, starting the season off with his crew chief from Westby Racing last year on the Superbike, over the last couple of seasons actually. Ed Sullivan, his crew chief, coming over to Strack Racing with them. They took a conservative approach to start the season off at Road Atlanta. They did not do the Daytona 200, so they did not have those laps together, getting things started at Road Atlanta, and they had to learn this new class.
You know, they mentioned earlier in the year, wait till we get to Road America. That's where we're going to come, and we're going to have our full package, and we're going to start winning races. And it has played out exactly that way. Made it through the first couple races, collected the points, knowing they had more things coming with the bike, and we went to Road America. And from there, they went on a run.
Yeah, they were able to finish at Road America twice on the podium, both the second-place finishes. But after that, starting off at Brainerd, they went on a 4-race win streak.
And that's just, for Matt, did a great job beginning of the year, not trying to force the win races, and be patient and wait for, to have the full package to go out and be able to fight for those wins. It could have been real easy to try to override some things early on. I'm a Superbike rider, going to Super Sport, and you want to win right away. He did it the right way. He did it the smart way, waited till everything was right, and then went for it.
Saw PJ Jacobsen there on the number 15, the Reha Ducati motorcycle, won the first 2 races of the season at Road Atlanta. They did compete at the Daytona 200, but it was a shakedown ultimately for that entire organization. They had to regroup, came back out in championship fighting form, getting the first 2 wins of the season. But now he sits 39 points back. How is his weekend different? How is his race 1 different for him?
He has to win, and I think he knows that, and he wants to win here. 39 points, he's going to need a little bit of help. But it's been a great year for PJ. Also, that team deserves a lot of credit as well. When we went to Daytona, when we left there, you would have thought, man, they might be able to get on the podium by the end of the year, but just that 1 month from Daytona all the way to Road Atlanta, this team is like a totally new team. I've never really seen a team change that fast. And, and they got some new people there, and all of a sudden they start winning. They went to Daytona, terrible Daytona, then start winning races at the very first event. So the team deserves a lot of credit for that.
Right behind PJ Jacobsen, you see Stefano Mesa aboard that number 37, the Kawasaki rider. Qualifying was interesting. Stefano was the first of the riders to put the slicks on and to go out there in what were very changing conditions, lay down a quick lap. He was able to back it up again after that, and he finds himself starting on the front row.
Yeah, this is the best we've seen Stefano here, and hopefully with the track being completely dry, he's able to carry that over. He's got himself right in the middle of the front row. Get a good start, and, whichever one of the 2 championship guys, if they try to get away, try to go with them. And so, first job, qualifying. This place is hard to pass. Stefano's did that.
Yeah, Stefano was making moves, still bettering his lap times there during qualifying. See what he can do with it today. You see Kayla Yakov starting the race in 5th from that second row. Big improvement for her from yesterday, and that's really the progression. Ben Spies was up here earlier and talking about that, just a season of growing and learning for Kayla.
Yeah, and just a huge different weekend from Coda, where she struggled a little bit, and I think you're going to expect some of those for a young rider like she is. But she did the great thing this weekend, qualifying 5th, the middle of that second row. She puts herself in a great spot to get a really good start and try to, not get in that group that's behind the leader. So now she's qualified really well. She just needs to get a really good start and be able to get going right away.
She's already been on the podium twice this season, both of those coming back at the Ridge. That was a great weekend for her. We'll see if she can turn this 5th place starting position into another one. As you see, Maxi Girardo, one of the big names that we didn't know when we started off at the Daytona 200. He was in the B group for qualifying, came out and just impressed, laid down times that were quick enough to put him in the side of the top 10. Solidly should have been in that A group of qualifying, but that's where we've seen him now ever since. He's been on the pole position several times, hasn't been able to find himself on the top step of the podium just yet, but this weekend he's back to being the Maxi Girardo we were introduced to.
Yeah, and at the front, and that's the the big thing and the hard part going to Super Sport and racing against the guys in that class. He's been able to run at the front for the first half of the race, but let's see if he can do it the last half. He's getting closer, but it's been a great year, as you mentioned, for him and that team.
It's Top Pro Motorsports, the same team that Sean Dillon Kelly rides for over in Steel Commander Superbike. Just a great organization. Big introduction into the Moto America paddock. Live look out at the grid. You can see the face of PJ Jacobsen. It is determination. It is going for a victory. There is no other option today if he's going to keep his championship points alive. Matthew Skoltz, though, he's the pole sitter. He's the one that's in control. Final preparations happening out here on the grid. We're going to send it to Greg White, Jason Pridmore, and Hannah Lopa for the call of Supersport.
It's time for the Moto America AMA FIM North American Road Race Championship. This round is Moto America Superbikes at New Jersey in our 10th anniversary season from Millville, New Jersey, in our final round of 2024 from New Jersey Motorsports Park. Supersport race number 1 of 2, the penultimate race of the year on deck, and we have ourselves an unfinished championship battle that's raging on the racetrack. Hello, everyone, and welcome to the broadcast booth. I'm Greg White, standing alongside two-time national champ Jason Pridmore. Now, Jason, it's been the story for pretty much the last 3 quarters of this entire season. PJ Jacobsen and Matthew Skoltz getting after Ducati versus Yamaha.
Yeah, it really has been a great season to watch these two go head-to-head and go at it. And, of course, we had Jake Lewis throw his name in the hat at COTA with that win. But really, for Matthew and PJ, it's all come down here to New Jersey. And the championship's been so tight all year. And then the last couple of rounds, we've had both of them making a couple little mistakes here or there. And for whatever reason it is, they haven't scored points in a couple of races, so it's made it a little bit bigger gap than we would have loved to have had here at Jersey.
Let's take a look at what you're talking about, really, because when you look at Matthew Skoltz and the season that he has had, he's been an absolute breath of fresh air in the super sport category and really started out strong.
We all thought Matthew was going to do well this year, but I think everybody thought he was going to do quite as well as he did. Jumping off a superbike, he felt like he was the man to come here and win for that Strack Racing team, and he has done really, really well. For this guy, PJ Jacobsen, so well-traveled, has really found a home down there with the Rahal Ducati team and has put together a string of wins himself, as you would expect to see from the number 15 PJ Jacobsen.
But when you have a championship this tight, Jason, it's all about those little mistakes and falling off the motorcycle that's going to hold you back. And it's been a crazy amount of points scored by both riders. At Circuit of the Americas, though, it was this that really blew this championship.
Remember the day before, Matthew had an incident up in turn 1, and this is the last lap for PJ. And you can see here, championship lead for Matthew right now coming in here, Greg, 39 points. He clinches the title today with 4th place finish or better. And he's actually seeking his second Moto America championship. As you remember, he won that back in 2017 in Stock 1000.
And the one thing, too, about Matthew Skoltz, and talking with him this weekend, he feels very loose, very relaxed. But don't take my word for it. The third member of our broadcast team, Hannah Lopa, is down on the grid right now, talking to him.
Well, the conditions have certainly changed from this morning. Matthew Skoltz starting from the first spot on the grid. Matthew, a lot of emotions being on the verge of this championship here. What is the key to this race in order to get it done?
We didn't get too much dry time on the track, so I think we're just going to go out there and figure out how the tires drop off and everything else. But I think the biggest goal for me today is just to try to beat PJ and bring the championship home.
Best of luck, Matt. And guys, if he seems calm, it's because he is. I checked in with him earlier, and he is a cool customer, as always. One more person I want to talk with. Kayla Yakov matched her best ever qualifying position this season, starting from 5th here today. Kayla, take us through it. What's your expectation for this race, and how do you want to end this season?
Yeah, I mean, I'd love to end the season on a great note. We qualified really well this morning. I honestly didn't think I would be this far up on the grid with our lap time, but I feel very strong. This is a track that's basically home for me, and obviously I know everyone here. Charity's helped me out a lot with Riders Club, so I love this track a lot. So hopefully we can get a good start, be up front. I'd love to be in that front 3 group for the podium, and obviously if the win is there, we'd love to go for it, but end the season on a good note.
Kayla Yakov looking to end that rookie season on a high, guys.
What a massive fan base she has here in New Jersey. Obviously, she mentioned it's her home track and looking to do great. Well, Jason, this is one of the shorter courses that we have on our calendar for the season. It's New Jersey Motorsports Park, and I want to take you through a little bit of this racetrack and kind of give you an idea of where turn 1 is and where the final corner is, turn number 12. So looking at this road course, 2.25 miles long, only 4 left-handers and 8 right-handers, and it's freshly paved as well. And so what it's done, especially if you get to the corners of 6, 7, 8, 9, and all the way through 10, it's added some extra lines that riders didn't have before because it was very technical. There were some sealer patches and everything else, but it has been on and off rain as well, so you got to watch the curbing. You don't want to get out there on the wet curbs if there are some out there, but plenty of places to pass and some elevation changes as well. Well, New Jersey Motorsports Park awaits the start of Super Sport race number 1. It's 5 minutes to the race start, and this rider right here, local New York native Corey Alexander, looking to notch a win.
Staying with you here live at New Jersey Motorsports Park. Roger, I was watching Matthew Skoltz and the way he was holding himself there at the starting grid. You can tell how calm he is. He doesn't have that same pressure that we've seen him put on his shoulders at various points in the season.
Yeah, and I think just the work that he's did this year, and, you know, also for a rider, too, when you are nervous and you feel the pressure, you do your best to play it off because you think it's going to, you know, if I act like I don't have pressure, then, you know, maybe I really don't. But there's going to be a little bit of pressure, but you're right. He's really relaxed for what's going on, and I think the 39 points really helps that. I think qualifying really well helps that as well. And I think for Matt, the season that he's had, and he's a confident rider, and he's shown great speed, so I think he feels really good about wrapping this up today.
And one of the things that he has said over the course of this weekend is that at this point in the season, after the Super Sport season and the competition that's unfolded, he feels like he's more of a well-rounded rider.
And for PJ that we see here, he's mentioned it all weekend that, you know, he wants to protect home turf here, and he wants to lead. He was disappointed when he wasn't even leading one of the sessions. So you know he's gonna go out and really qualified on the second row. I think he would rather be on the front row, but still right there. But I think you're going to see PJ go out and put his head down early on and just try to break away. But that's going to be difficult because I think his teammate's going to be tough. Corey Alexander is going to be strong this race as well.
For PJ Jacobsen, he led the first practice session on Friday, also led that first qualifying session yesterday afternoon, and he did say it afterwards that he said that when he's not at the front, it really upsets him. So being further back than what he would like, he definitely has a little bit more work to do at the opening stages of this race because he cannot let Matthew Skoltz get out ahead.
And this place is tough to pass, so I think you're just going to see him be aggressive early, and Stefano Mesa as well. Qualifying there on the front row, track conditions might have helped that a little bit, but it's the unknown. We haven't seen any dry sessions, so we really don't know who has the speed and who doesn't.
Stefano Mesa, though, it was so fun to watch him in that qualifying session with the changing track conditions because he's able just to slide that bike and get lap time out of it no matter what.
Yeah, and I was not only sliding it on the exit, but I had a lot of fun watching him slide it on corner entry, and just the control Stefano has. He likes the bike sliding around. And he was the first guy that really started the slick trend. Everybody seen what he was doing. He started going faster than everybody went yesterday. They started making their way out on track to follow suit.
Corey Alexander, you mentioned being PJ Jacobsen's teammate. What role can he play in this one?
Well, I'm sure with the 39 points, I think it comes to a little bit less of a team strategy. You know, and so I think if the points were closer, it'd be a little bit more of a strategy. Maybe if Matt has an issue, they might, you know, change that as well during the race. But all Corey can do, I'm sure, is just don't do anything crazy with PJ and try to go out and win if possible.
The riders all out for their warm-up lap before they make it back to their grid positions. We'll go ahead and send it back next door to Greg White and Jason Pridmore.
Moto America Supersport coverage is brought to you by Dunlop, the official tire of the Moto America Championship Series, and by Yuasa Battery, manufacturing in the USA since 1979.
All right, so we're back here at New Jersey Motorsports Park. Corey Alexander on the inside there, probably trying to let the field go by so we can get the warmest tires. We're on the warm-up lap of race number 1, and Jay, qualifying was a little bit crazy. We're going to talk about that in a second as we take a look at this starting grid. It's not the typical starting grid you see, but Matthew Skoltz was able to put it on pole, Mesa and Corey Alexander.
Yeah, and you'll see what we're talking about in a minute. PJ Jacobsen, Yakov, and Max Girardo are going to be outside row 2. Then we have Ty Scott and Nassani. Great qualifying from Riston Grigg. Max Van there, who had 2 top 10s at Coda Grigg. Row 4, Jake Lewis and Enriquez. Another good spot for him. Great to see Joe Lamondre Jr. here. Torrin Collins and Teague Hobbs, they're going to be on row 5 with Silva, LaRoche, and Blake Davis. 18th coming from row number 6. And how about Dave Anthony coming from row 7 with Kevin Horney and Dylan Singh, Schultes, Silva, and Aiden Sneed. Then we have Monk, Omen, and Gus Rodeo rounding out the field, Greg. So we've got some people here that are coming from deep in the pack that we're used to seeing up front. So we'll try to chart their way forward for you as we get this race underway. And for this guy here, PJ, home race, track he's got a lot of experience on, probably pretty confident coming here. He's got to try to get from the second row and try to lead there into turn 1. This guy, Corey Alexander, his teammate on the front row.
Here we go, 19 lap schedule for Super Sport Race 1. When these lights are off, we're rolling.
Long red light, but nobody jumped from the front row. So a good launch from the 23 Alexander. So here comes Corey. Matthew Skoltz did not get a good launch. He's going to funnel in at about 4th place from pole position as they funnel into a new, slightly revised turn number 1. The inside of the track open a little bit more, and it's going to be Corey Alexander, the number 23, who's going to lead us for the first couple of corners. And Corey on that Rahal Ducati Moto with roller die and forming. Quite a machine to see if you're live in person. Look at the bodywork on that thing. Awesome.
Yeah, Corey's got a lot of laps around this place also as Mesa gets a little bit loose going through that fast right-hand kink there. So for Matthew, he did exactly what he needed to do, Greg. He got through that turn 1 nice and unscathed, nice and clean. For the 11, what he wants to do is keep his head down, look forward ahead of him, and just pull away from everybody else. As we know, the lead that he has is pretty big over the guy just in front of him right now. Even if PJ gets to the front ahead of Mesa and Corey Alexander, Matthew is in a great spot. As you can see, that front quartet starting to pull away. It's really good, too, to see Stefano Mesa right there at the front of the field. He had a great qualifying this morning. I know they've been working hard on that bike all year long. And this is a place where I feel like we've seen Stefano go really well before. But looks like the 23 of Corey Alexander is going to lead them through here on the first lap.
So for the 37 of Mesa, out of Columbia on the Tytler Cycle Racing, that's a Kawasaki ZX6R. Coming under fire from the 15 of PJ Jacobsen. Down into turn 1 they go on the Rahal Ducati Moto with Expel. PJ not able to get that one done.
Mesa was having none of that, was he, Greg? You could see that PJ made a bid to take over second place. Mesa looked like he literally just let the brakes off and went down to the apex of turn 1. So Mesa wants to end the season on a high, too. All of these guys have come into this final race of the season. Everybody hot to try to win that final race of the year.
Corey Alexander goes 26.7. The qualifying time was a 27.8 as PJ, the number 15, trying to get around Mesa, not doing it there. But Jay, we talked about the qualifying and these riders coming through the field. It has been a mix of rain on and off, so the track has been somewhat dry, somewhat wet, so we haven't seen blistering lap times. Not track record pace we expected to get when we got here to New Jersey Motorsports Park because the track was freshly paved.
Yeah, and you can see right now track temperature 100 degrees, 79 degrees outside. It's actually really perfect weather for these guys as Mesa's going to run wide. He's going to open up the door for PJ and Matthew. So Mesa's going to slot himself back there into 4th spot. The reason Greg brings that up, 26.7 from a standing start, Greg, as well. That's already quicker than our pole position, our pole times this morning, simply because this morning we were going from a wet to a drying racetrack. So chances were being taken to get yourself up to that front row. But already on the first lap, as you see, Mesa looks like he might have a problem, Greg, as he's pulled over on the front straightaway here, looking back to see if there's something wrong. He's going to lose position. A little bit further back here, you see CJ LaRoche. Colin Schultes just behind him. So just having a look. Look, Blake Davis hasn't made a big jump up front, 13th. How about right now in 6th place? Let's give Joe Lamondre Jr. a shout. 6th spot, Greg. It's the only time we've seen him this year on that Boss Racing R6.
And he looks like he's just up behind Ty Scott there. If you look at him come up over the ridge here, you can see the 64 is behind Mesa. So we'll have to keep an eye on Stefano and see if there's a problem as he tips into this last turn. Remember, it was a right-hander that he had a problem with before, and it's the same thing. It's actually the third time I've seen that out of Mesa's bike, where he's tipped the bike in, and he's getting some strange kind of movement from it.
So Corey Alexander goes 124.233 out front. PJ Jacobsen goes 24.8, but that was when he had Mesa in front of him. So for Matthew Skoltz now settling into third position, a 25.1, his fastest lap of the race. But it looks like on our screen that PJ might be on a charge. Kilyakov back there on the 19, starting to get roughed up in the middle of that pack as one of the riders that Jason was talking about, the 85 of Jake Lewis on the Altus Motorsports machine, is starting to work his way through the field. Our third in points in the championship, Jake Lewis, who comes off of a big win the last time we were racing in race number 1 at Circuit of the Americas, advancing forward as PJ Jacobsen goes 23.688 to lower the fastest lap of the race, chasing his teammate Corey Alexander out front.
Yeah, Corey with a 24.1, but you can see the gap that the two Rahal Ducatis have pulled out over the rest of the field. It is now up to almost 3 seconds back to Matthew Skoltz, and these guys are going to continue to put the hammer down. I think watching pit boards and things like that are going to be really interesting. Hannah.
PJ setting the fastest lap is no surprise. I talked to him and he said he's got a really good feeling with the dry setup. They made some minor changes to engine braking, but other than that, he's really comfortable. But I say this because he was so disappointed this morning not to get pole position at his home track that he said he's riding around out there mad, and it really motivates him to go fast.
PJ Jacobsen gutting after it hard. Hey, fans of Moto America can pick their favorite riders for a chance to win money. Available on your favorite sportbook and daily fantasy sites like DraftKings or Underdog Fantasy. Visit nxtbets.com/playma for exclusive sign-up bonuses for new players and receive bonus cash. Available in legal states. Check nxtbets.com/playma to see where you can play in your state. So 15 and a half laps to go in Supersport race number 1, and the battle out front between Rahal Ducati teammates. One of them is Rahal Ducati with Rollerdine Informing, the other one with Expel. And it looks like PJ Jacobsen on the front straightaway coming out of the draft. The much taller and broader shoulders of Corey Alexander creates a big hole in the atmosphere, and PJ Jacobsen able to, on equal equipment, draft and pass and take over the lead.
It's really fun watching these two guys. Arguably the shortest rider in the field, and for sure the tallest rider in the field in Corey Alexander. But you can see that they're on the same bike, Greg, and they're getting the same job done. Now let's go a little further back. Matthew Skoltz now is going to have some company from Ty Scott, and you know, he has a look over his shoulder, sees that there's somebody right behind him. I don't see Matthew putting up a big fight here. He's doing everything he can, Greg. It would be great for Matthew and his team, for him, to try to wrap the championship up today, and it will free him up tomorrow to try to go for that win.
Yeah, so Ty Scott on the number 70 Vision Wheel M4 X-Star Suzuki, trying to get by Matthew Skoltz, and Skoltz probably just wants to get this over with in this particular scenario. With PJ out front, the key position is if Matthew is 4th or better, he will wrap up the championship today and be able to fly free tomorrow. But he needs Ty Scott to just make the move. As my conversation with Ty Scott earlier this week, and I asked him what he's going to do next year, and he said, for sure, I'm going to be in Supersport. So we'll get to see another opportunity for the 70, the young rider Ty Scott, to have a more consistent and faster year than he's had this season. He's shown some flashes of brilliance during the Supersport